We're going to be going back in time. We're going to start with her first film that we changed just last minute. Mostly because the first film we're going to talk about was A Nightmare Before Christmas. But since we covered that quite extensively, did we cover that in December? I think we did. I think we covered it somewhere between Halloween and Christmas, because essentially that's a film. But I'm on my cell phone. That's fine. Fucking God! It took me a moment to click, and it's all like, oh my God. But
Says yes, we did.
So technically, A Nightmare Before Christmas is going to be her honorary mention. But what we are going to start with is the 2000 animated film Emperor's New Groove. Sis, what can you tell me? Why did you pick this to be your first one?
I don't know. I just thought it was really, it was just really well done. I liked it. I mean, Cusco is, when he goes into the llama, he's changed into the llama and everything. It just, I don't know. I just really thought
it's the sassiness.
I think so.
Yeah.
And then with him and John Goodman, they bounce off each other like really, really well.
Yeah, it's kind of like how David Spade does with Chris Farley. It's like anytime that they're together, it's like a brotherhood kind of banter in between. But yeah, I didn't click to that. It just how well it's. I guess like really David Spade just does well when he works with a really good partner.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I don't know, when you look at Grown Ups, he has his little moments, but like he kind of always falls into the background. But when he does movies like these, where he's with someone,
yeah,
because like even Joe Dirt's like a little. It's something that you like trying to have him as a solid lead just by himself. Yeah. It's a little hard to sell, but he tends to sell very well.
And then like the kids. They like crack me up.
Yeah, especially whenever they're terrorizing Yzma, and they have her in a closet, and everything. He's like, "Please tell me where the talking llama went, or I'll burn your house to the ground." And he's like, "Shouldn't it be or?" And everything. What were some of your favorite moments out? You know, including the kids.
I think Krunk and Yzma were like a really good mix in it, especially just because Krunk was clueless half the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Cusco turned into the llama, I thought was really funny. And then just watching them go through the whole movie trying to go back and change him into the Emperor. Just everything that goes in between it.
How Cusco is literally having his ass humbled pretty damn hard.
Yeah, because he would tell John Goodman that he would help him, but then kind of backstab him in a way.
Yeah, he's like, I don't make deals with peasants. But then
realized that he could still have his vacation house, but in a different area.
Yeah, because the main conflict for John Goodman's character is he wants to help the Emperor, thinking that he could break a deal off to, maybe I can actually save my village home and not let it get turned into, some type of, corporate vacation home for a spoiled emperor and everything. And of course the Emperor just thinks, I just need to get back to my old self so I can fire Yzma and I can get my Cuscotopia. It's a really, really good dichotomy between those two characters. And of course, I think Yzma is probably in early 2000s, probably one of the most favorite animated villains.
Yes.
Because you had like John Lithgow's Lord Farquaad.
Oh, I love that.
From Shrek. He's like another iconic one, but really not too many people talk about him as much compared to like, say, Yzma, who,
Well, I think it's Shrek. The gingerbread man is just...
Yeah, that one scene where he's interrogating poor Gingy. Yeah. But like when you look at Yzma, for one, oh my God, I was going to say Ursula Andrews. It's not her.
Kid, huh?
Eartha Kitt, yes. Eartha Kitt is just a phenomenal actor, and I didn't realize just how big of my childhood was to her. Mm-hmm. Because, she did Ernest Scared Stupid and everything. And she played Lady Hackmore. And I didn't even know that was her because I was so used to seeing her as Ahura and everything of like, like this neat hair thing,
I don't know.
from Star Trek.
Oh, I never watched Star Trek. So.
Oh, well. if your husband was here, he'd definitely be disappointed. It's like, how did you not?
What else will he be? He's disappointed in all my movies.
I mean, like, even I grew up, like, I didn't grow up watching the Star Trek show, but I grew up watching the movies that had, like, all of them in there and everything. And
it didn't pique my interest.
Yeah, the transformation for both characters are really well. And I really do like that, the transformation of Yzma when they're over there trying to get the last human vial. And
she turns into a kitty.
She turns
That's my voice?
Yes. I thought that was one of the most amazing scenes with her, that she's still, despite looking so cute and fluffy, she still maintained that evil nature. And it kind of got cranked up a little bit more. It's like, it's something so cute. Yeah, sorry, folks. We have kitties around here. Smokey is deciding to be her inner kitten today and be a menace to society. But I
mean, even the lady that played, I don't even remember what John Goodman's character's name is in the movie, but his wife, I mean, she's pregnant and she's still, still trying to do what she can to
maintain taking care of two kids while Pacha.
There you go.
There you go. It took me a moment because I was like, my brain was running through, and it's all like, I know, like, they've made so many damn jokes about his name with Cusco. It's like, what's your name? Pacha. That's right. That and the old man getting thrown out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The groove told you I threw off the Emperor's groove.
But yeah, like the whole mother, like, regardless pregnant with two wild, rambunctious kids. And then, her just trying to maintain her husband who's losing faith that they could possibly lose their home.
Yeah.
She's, like, definitely, like, that rock for it. And I think there is a bit that rubs off from her to Cusco that it does kind of help.
Yeah.
Outside of, like, when Cusco is finally kind of, like, left on his own and Pacha's just had enough. It's more like, even she's kind of had a little bit of a nudge towards, like, hey, like, Cusco, it doesn't hurt to have a heart.
Yeah.
So she does definitely help. Wrapping this up, yes, the old man, like, the whole musical number at the beginning when Cusco's doing it and then he bumps into the old man.
Yeah.
I like,
excuse me, sir, you've thrown the Emperor's groove.
Yes. And I like that later on, after the whole scene where Pacha gets into the argument with the Emperor, that gag is still picked up later when, he's just walking and he's just grumbling, and then all of a sudden the shoe, like, falls on top of him and everything. And, he's like, what's that? He's like, excuse me, that's mine. And he's like, oh my God. And, and he kind of starts learning a little bit more of just how, like, mean-spirited the Emperor is. It's all like, wow, he's that selfish. He threw an old man, which it's like, you're lucky you lived, that branch was out there to capture him.
Yeah. And of course the birthday when they
happy birthday. Yeah.
That's like an iconic scene. I like that scene. It's funny.
That's definitely now that will, whenever I come back to streaming, that definitely will be a redeem for people's birthdays. It's doing the happy birthday music. With that being said, we are gonna wrap up because Emperor's New Groove, it's a pretty short animated film. It's pretty pretty much cut to, like, what it is. So, hey Yeti, how are you doing, mate? So pretty much, what we're gonna go through, it's the one that my sister shared a very interesting story with, is the 1998. I won't really say it's a cult classic, but the way how sis kind of made it seem back then when it came out, it might have been a cult classic. The Wedding Singer. So, what can you tell us about The Wedding Singer?
It's just the 80s.
It's the 80s in 1998.
The big hair, the clothes,
the music.
I mean, the 80s were. I mean, I was born in the 80s, but I was small when I was in the 80s. But it's still one of the best, I'd say,
decades
out there. But I mean, the 90s are pretty good, but I think the 80s top it because there's just a lot of good music. And I mean, Adam Sandler, he's just
the music that's used in there. You probably have heard it somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like niche music, but it's like, no, this is something everyone.
You have Billy Idol, and then
didn't they have
Madonna's song
Madonna.
In there.
Didn't they do, like, Tiffany as well, and David Bowie?
Yeah, David Bowie. Yeah, I think didn't they have The Cure? A song of The Cure's?
I believe so. They even had oh my God, what the hell's the name? da, 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 da. Oh my god. Uh, uh, my brain is flaking on it and everything, but hopefully people kind of understand uh, something my love. It's they used it in a recent movie with a cover for a LGBTQ film. The film itself is known. It's all of the '80s tropes in that movie. It is. It's a John Hughes. It's like a John Hughes film without it being a John Hughes film.
Yeah.
So if you're, I kind of think that with that film right there, if you love John Hughes's '80s films, I think you'll definitely sit there and find some love in the Adam Sandler, because it's kind of like it tries to replicate that, but Adam is still doing his own thing with it.
Yeah.
Like, it's more of a tip to the hat.
Didn't they like do a thing with Miami Vice? I mean,
yes.
You know, I was like,
well, his best friend has like the mustache, so
and then he's compared to Michael Jackson in one scene because he has
the glove
and the red jacket.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, even later on, it's like he comes out of the closet and everything. It's like, you know, that he is a gay man later on in the film.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, that was like, that was kind of like the Dark Night of the Soul moment where it's pretty much when Adam is more or less kind of upset with him lashing out at Drew Barrymore, because he thinks the reason Julia is gonna be with this with the villain of the film is because he has money and he has a job and everything, and so he says that to her and upsets her, not knowing that she actually made him business cards for his wedding music paper. That's what it was.
So he could write his music.
And you know, she she's done all this for him, and he's completely misread the lines. So he goes to the bar, and then you have that one really weird old dude that's like throwing his hand over the shoulder.
It's gonna be okay.
It's gonna be okay. And yeah, so Adam's buddy is all like, you know, I think he ends up like, without really saying it, that I think essentially he is gay, because he's all like, I'm unhappy and everything. Yeah. It's all like, it's like, I don't like, do you think this really gets chicks? No, it doesn't. It's sad.
Yeah.
And everything.
Because he wants to be like Fonzie.
Yeah. There's this, which really Fonzie was Fonzie 80s? I always thought that was more late 70s.
No, that was, I think, 70s.
Yeah. But also too, it's like, yeah, Happy Days. And so I do believe that, you know, for one, there were people still in the 80s that were still kind of hooking on to the Happy Days thing, because those were the kids that grew up.
Happy Days.
Yeah, so probably with Adam Sandler growing up in the 70s, everyone wanted to be Fonzarelli, and then you carry that over to the 80s with the aesthetic and everything, and it's like, it's trying to keep the greaser look.
Jackets in a way.
Yeah, you know, you can see the influence of John Hughes film. Yeah, like 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, all of that. It's without directly ripping off of it, but it's more of a love letter to it. That does well. What do you think about some of the musical moments of, like, what are some of your favorite musical moments when it comes to
when George sings Boy George's song, Do You Really Want to Hurt Me? And that's the only song he knows.
Yeah.
And everyone boos him.
Yeah, because they're like, ew, like, and they're like,
and they
why
don't understand why he's in makeup.
Yeah,
and everything else.
Rest in peace to it's not Patricia Arquette, she's still alive. But it's the unsung Arquette sibling, because you know, like, Patricia did well in television, David did well in movies and in pro wrestling. He did somewhat well.
I don't want that.
Alexis Arquette and everything. Did you know that Alexis Arquette was in Bride of Chucky?
No.
So I know it's probably been a while for you, because it came out the same year as Wedding Singer did and everything, but he was the
Wedding Singer, like, with the makeup. I don't.
Yeah, well, he was the fling at the beginning with Jennifer Tilly. When after she had done sewed up Chucky and everything, and like Chucky pretty much like went off and like, you know, like ripped off like all of his piercings and everything, and then she had to put him in a trunk of her car. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was Alexis Arquette, and it's like, wow, there's so much of my childhood also dedicated. Rest in peace to that. But yeah, The Love Stinks.
Yeah, when Linda stands him up and
he
like throws a fit in his little tent. And then you see Alexis crying and mascara going everywhere. Sitting next to the little old lady that he does free music lessons for.
and paid him in meatballs
Yeah.
that one time.
And then when he's helping Julia find a wedding singer.
Yes.
And he goes up there to sing the song he wrote for Linda. And then I think he like finished it off with
somebody kill me please.
And then you see what's his name?
John Lovitz.
There you go.
This is
just like sticking, like being on the side, freaking out, like what the hell is he going?
You know, I don't know if you can find on Spotify the Wedding Singer soundtrack. I wonder if they have the John Lovitz singing "This Is Ladies' Night" and everything. Like, believe it or not, he did really good. Like, you don't really think that a guy like John Lovitz or Alexis Arquette would sing very well. Mm-hmm. Even in a comedic standpoint, they actually do well in their presentation. Yeah. Especially John Lovitz dancing, where like he's just like shimmying or whatever, and it's all like, oh my god, like you could definitely tell the people on the set had so much fun. You could definitely tell.
Like anything with Adam Sandler, well, mostly anything. I mean, he writes some really good movies. Yeah. I haven't seen all of his work, but
I think like a lot of the stuff that he just produces himself, it's definitely fun. But when you start seeing him outside of some other stuff, I really want to sit there and see just how Adam did a lot of his work and how it was like with Punch Drunk Love. I don't know if you've seen that Paul Anderson film. That's a really good one. It's about a guy who he's the only boy out of all these sisters. I think he has like 8 or 9 sisters, and they all bully the living shit out of him. And he doesn't know how to properly handle his emotions. Mm-hmm. And then when he finally falls in love with a woman and everything, his sisters are just making fun of him. And he's just over here just trying to run a business, trying to find some love, and just trying to survive his sisters. It's a really, really good movie. That one and Uncut Gems. I've only seen it once, but it's a very dark film. You know, right next to... I think it's called not Remember Me. That was the Robert Pattinson one. But there was the one that he did where he lost his family in the Twin Towers incident, and Don Cheadle was like his college friend. I'm blanking on that film, but that's a really good one. Yeah, like those are films with heavier subject matter, and I don't think really Adam's ever done one with heavy subject matter.
I don't know. At least not any that I've may have seen.
There is one that he did do like a basketball one, but I don't really call that dark subject matter. But that was like one where he really did like he showed everyone, hey, I can do these acting chops and everything. But it was made for Netflix. Yeah. And Queen Latifah was in it. She was a really good supporting role, if I remember correctly, in that one. Outside of all of Sandler's catalog, do you really think that this is the best of his?
Well, if you go back to when he was obnoxious, I would want to say Happy Gilmore was pretty funny.
Fighting Bob Barker.
Yeah. I forgot he was in Airheads.
Yeah, he was the drummer. Mm-hmm. You know what?
Billy Madison was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Back in the time.
But like, I kind of felt like even to me, that's his most most childish humor.
Yeah, because I remember Chris had a CD of Adam Sandler's, and it was just like stupid shit.
Yeah, and I liked back then when comedians did that, where they released albums of like their comedic work. Because I remember Josh had one too, and they had like the cock and balls skit and everything, and it's like, what the fucking hell? That's like you
like
could.
One of the songs or a piece of shit car.
Yes.
When Chris had his old Jimmy, he would play that song in his car, and I'm just like
that was like towards the end of the peak of like comedians doing albums like that and everything. But I still feel like Adam did a good enough job where he could do his musical lines, and I mean we saw him live. He's fucking fantastic live. Yeah. Like, didn't we also see Rob Schneider there? Or I think Rob
Schneider popped in.
Yeah,
because that's the second time I've seen Adam Sandler. Because the first time me and Chris went and saw him in Sugarland, and it was him and David Spade and Rob Schneider and I want to say there was someone else, and they just kind of did a little comedic tour.
Yeah.
Because they said you couldn't have your phones out, so I put my brightness all the way down, and I don't know. I have to see if I can find the video.
You're horrible, sis. You're freaking horrible. They sit there and say, don't record, and just like...
But I didn't post it on social media.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
That's like probably more just something you just keep for yourself that, hey, I saw this live, you know.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how many people actually do that. I know there's mostly a lot of people that they do it and they post it.
Some of them, like, let's see, what is it? Chris Rock?
Uh-huh.
There are some comedians where you have to put your cell phone in a locked box and you can't open it.
Yeah.
If they find you with it open inside, they'll kick you out.
Yeah.
So there's like only a small little area
because essentially it's almost piracy for the actual comedian.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, like online you sit there and you always see these comedians doing their skit, and it's like, yeah, it's because they got a paid cameraman to actually do it. That's why it looks clean, and it's like, you know, and everything. It's they have a hired professional. Before we wrap up, we love the Wedding Singer so much. It's such an iconic film for its time. Bringing, you know, people who grew up in the 80s and people who are a fan of the 80s.
Just him and Drew Barrymore's...
Their chemistry.
Yeah, because, I mean, he brought her back for 50 First Dates.
Which
is a really good movie.
I think next to The Wedding Singer, that's probably, like, their best one, too.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like First Love, and then it's like, oh, rekindling that. Because 50 First Dates was...
She loses her memory, and he has to remind her about him every day.
The one that I definitely enjoy is towards the end, whenever like they have like the family
and
everything, and like she's waking up and she plays the tape and everything, and he's catching her up to speed, and as she gets there she sees that Doug's not there but Dad's there, much older, and she has her own kid, and it's like, oh my god, like that's a tearjerker, and everything, and so we mentioned that it's not a cult classic, but the way how it's seen when it came out, you shared the story, so I want you to share with the audience here. What was it like attending The Wedding Singer in theater back when it came out?
So I don't really remember when, what day of the week me and my aunt went to go see it, but we at least saw it twice, I know that much. And one of the times that we saw the movie, there was only me and my aunt, and then maybe 2 other people in the theater, and that was it. And it was like really, we talked about it and it was like, how come there's nobody in this movie? Because it was so funny. Me and my aunt were like sitting in the back, singing along, laughing, cutting up, and it was just really weird how nobody was in there.
Yeah, because like, I mean, it wasn't really like Adam Sandler was a viable, because Wedding Singer is like what, like his 4th film?
I think so.
And everything, so he has already had made like a really big name, and then they like come here. I guess Texans just don't like Adam Sandler, you know.
Well, no, I think they do. It's just probably they just didn't get the whole 80s references.
Yeah.
Because like with Steve Buscemi, you know, I'm like he pulls the drunk part off.
No lessons. Thank you very much.
Exactly.
Pops. Yeah.
So I thought he did really, really well. But I've noticed in most of, if not all of Adam Sandler's movies, he always brings the same people in for everything. So he keeps his friends employed.
That's definitely the thing, because what is it? Usually most like really good filmmakers, they always keep their troupe together. Like Alfred Hitchcock always had Jimmy Stewart or you know, on there. So yeah, it made sense that Adam's all like, or even Kevin Smith, because we were talking Kevin Smith last night and everything. Kevin always brought back everyone and everything. It's like he would bring in a few new faces to kind of freshen it up, but other than that, you know, he had a lot of people he worked with.
Because I know one Comic-Con, I think it was the one that I took you to many years
ago. Didn't you tell me that dude was drunk?
Yeah, we met one of the guys that was with Adam Sandler, and he was fucking wasted. We had a picture with him, and you could smell the alcohol. It was like,
I think the one that they're talking about, it's the one in Little Nicky that always had the shades.
Yeah,
and they you know, when oh my god, what's his name? I think it's one half of the South Park creators that were in there. He called him Judas, and he's like, Judas Priest maybe. And it's just a little laugh. Oh my god. It's like that, and like watching him later on in that movie and everything when Ozzy comes out and everything, and you're like, the Lord of Darkness is with this man, and like they're like freaking bowing their heads, and it's like, Jesus.
Peter Dante is what his name is.
Peter Dante? Okay, yeah. He was the one in Grown Ups that was dancing around when Steve Austin's wife was doing the ballerina thing and like shacking him, or like the two cops, and they're like dancing and shaking their handcuffs.
I don't remember
That was in the second one. Oh. Because that was when Adam moved back to the small town, and yeah. But yeah, it's kind of shocking that it seemed like this film felt almost like a cult classic upon release, but it's so deeply fond of, because there's even a lot of kids like modern day and like a few people younger than me that were like late 90s kids that like they were kids when this movie came out, like probably still shitting their pants, but they loved this movie so much. It's such an iconic film, and it's one of the very few films of Sandler's filmography that
it made 123 million. At the box office.
Made 123 million. What was... Oh, that's a big success. I wonder what the budget was for it. I'm sorry, this is like very different from what we normally do community curations, folks, but
18 million.
Yeah, that's still like it almost made 10 times the amount.
Yeah.
You know, but like also too, filmmaking was different at a time where we didn't sit there and have all this inflation shit, you know.
That's true. Yeah.
So like back then you could have done like what Kevin Smith and Adam Sandler did, made stuff that was like under 20 mil.
Yeah.
And go find a distributor like Miramax or whatever, and then bam, it'll blow up and you'll make tenfold of what it took you.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the Wedding Singer, it's probably going to be like the most talked about film on this list that you got here, because it's beloved by all.
Yeah.
You know, I think even older people enjoy it because like of the music. Like Adam Sandler does not just make old people whatsoever in his films. And in this one, he made old people fun as shit.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like they're out there like dancing and everything.
Mm-hmm. And then in the beginning when the little baby doesn't have pants on,
yes,
like, put the pants on that kid.
Yeah, and you know, he doesn't really isolate he doesn't isolate a single generation. He just tries to make it fun for everyone. Which I kind of felt a film like The Wedding Singer and its weddings. Yeah. People are supposed to have fun. I think it's one of the very few films. Like I love stuff like The Hangover, but The Hangover never made stuff seem as fun when it hit to the wedding scene, or even The Wedding Crashers. Yeah. Like they never made it feel like you were actually at a party and everything. And so 2 thumbs up for Adam Sandler, you know, for making such a fun film. And now we're going to go farther back. Since we were talking about the 80s, we are going to talk about a very famous 80s film. The personal favorite for my sister is...
The NeverEnding Story.
So why...
It's one of the 2 favorites, because The Last Unicorn is another one. So
I kind of like noticed that. You like a lot of 80s fantasy, but it seems after the 80s, you kind of fall out of fantasy.
Well, it has to pique my interest. If it doesn't pique my interest, I'm not.
Because
I may watch it eventually years later.
I don't even think you're a Lord of the Rings fan, neither.
Not when it came out, but I've seen the movies.
Yeah.
But it was like later.
But you're an Orlando Bloom fan, so you probably watch for Legolas.
Bloom
yeah.
Is like, he's hot. I can't believe he had a baby with Katy Perry.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I think they're married. I think.
I always wonder what the fuck he does, because the thing about Orlando Bloom is he's so private that like you see him on screen, it's like, oh my god, and then he just disappears. It's like, when are we gonna see? It's like a mythical figure. Yeah. It's like every couple of years Orlando Bloom comes out from disappearance.
Well, you know, I think they are making one final Pirates of the Caribbean movie. I don't know how true it is.
They keep saying that. They keep. It's like, this is gonna be the last
TikTok,
one.
And they're like, this is the last chapter of it, but I didn't watch all of them.
I do remember. I think he came back for the recent one right before like the whole Depp Amber Heard trial thing, and I think he did come back because they hinted that him and the I think she was the princess or something like that.
I don't know. I've never really sat and watched Pirates of the Caribbean.
She was some form of royalty. It was either that or I think like she was like a duke's daughter.
The soundtrack for NeverEnding Story was really good.
It is. But it's like Orlando Bloom like only went to 1 to 3, and then like he came back for I think the recent one. Yeah. And more or less kind of like did like a nod, like, oh, he has a family, kind of like the Fast and Furious things where it's like, oh yeah, I had a family.
They need to quit with Fast and the Furious.
I know.
They should have stopped it. Well, I've only seen the first maybe 2 or 3 of them. They should have stopped after that.
Yeah. So shifting back over to the NeverEnding Story, why is this your personal favorite?
I think just the storytelling. You have a kid that was bullied. And he goes and takes a book and like hides in the school like a closet or something or attic to just read this book and just to see I guess the storyline of it. You see Atreyu and the infamous
horse scene
that like gets me every time. And then you see the princess. Mm-hmm. She's a child, and what is it? The snail with the guy.
I always kind of think of him as their version of the Mad Hatter.
Yeah.
And everything. Because, like, yeah, he, like, rides it and he has, like, this top hat. Yeah. And then you have, like, the witch, and I think she rides,
course,
like,
Falcor. You can't. I mean, he's, I think, one of the most. What is he, a dragon?
It'll be back on screen later this year. We definitely got to look at that and everything.
I'll have to see if they're going to play it over here.
Because I told Sis this all, like, we need to check for Valentine's Day if our local movie theater is going to play The Wedding Singer, because that'd be perfect. Mm-hmm. And everything, and it's all like, oh yeah, we definitely cancel our plans just to go sit there and see.
Well, Chris won't be home, so he's out of town. He won't be home till Friday.
No, well, that just means, like, we spend less money at the movies and everything, and
no, fucking movies are expensive.
If you go to the midday matinee, they're very much affordable.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Atreyu and all that. I've noticed that, like, in the 80s and part of the 90s, there was a really huge trope with, like, the kid reading the book, and that's kind of mm-hmm. your outline for the movie to actually happen. Mm-hmm. Because, you had the Princess Bride, the Princess Bride and everything, where that was all told from a grandfather telling the story to his grandson, and then you have this kid reading the story all to itself, mm-hmm. and then you have, like, the Page Master. We're gonna definitely throw it back here. Macaulay Culkin was reading books before he was sucked into you never saw the Page Master? That's a really good one. Yeah, I don't really remember too much of the story of this. All I remember is that there is some beast that lurks in the darkness.
Yeah, so it's like when you, I guess, the Nothing.
Yes.
What it's referred to. I feel that, like, if you go into, I guess, a depression, then the wolf will come and try to, like, take you out. And he's trying to, I think the wolf is trying to find Atreyu, because especially after
the horse.
Spoiler alert, Artax dies. He's sad, and that he lost his horse. And then they fight it out at the end, because he's just got to go through all these different
hurdles,
gates to get to where he has to go to kind of, I guess, fight that wolf.
Yeah.
For the Nothing and stuff like that. But to see just the direction that it went back in the time, you know, because you have the Rockman, and then, like, all the different little creatures that he meets along the way.
These, I think, were the Jim Henson puppets, if I remember right.
I think so.
Correct.
And then, like, there's I don't remember what the ladies were, but they were like, you saw the nudity for it, because they didn't, like, really. I think that was the most.
Even for children's film, you still got some nudity in it. Like,
just, I mean, they didn't, like, go into too much detail, but you saw. He had to, like, he had to think positive or something to be able to get through there, because if not, they would sense it, and then they would shoot their lasers. So, because I remember at one Comic-Con, well, it really wasn't a Comic-Con, but one little thing, we actually got to see Atreyu from afar.
Yeah, he definitely chunked out and everything. I'm actually trying to look up who did it. Brian Johnson apparently is the special effects artist that was on that. So I don't think it was Jim Henson, but it was obviously probably it was maybe some workers from the Jim Henson shop. Like, I can't really sit there and seem to find where they had it, but it definitely feels like it's a Jim Henson project, because Jim Henson was popping off in the 80s.
Jessica, order senior tickets.
I mean, Jessica, you could possibly get away with that. We can't. I may feel like a senior citizen, but
she's not that old. I'm probably older than she is.
No comment. No comment. I'm not going to step in that freaking bear trap and everything. But
Warbler says you look like one.
I do, as tired as I am. Welcome in, Yuki of the Forest. Thank you for the boop. But yeah, really just the source material for the NeverEnding Story. It is actually pretty dark for a kids movie.
It is.
But at the same time too, I felt like the 80s was like the peak of children's entertainment. It's the gray hair I see. Oh yeah. I'm sporting that. I'm waiting until like I go full Reed Richards. Oh shit. I did not say nothing, Jessica. I did not say nothing. Oh my god.
So I said I probably am older than she is.
Yeah, no, like 80s films, they definitely like did not shy away from, certain subjects for the media. Like I was reading one book. I hope all your coffee is all decaf. Don't throw that on me. What was it like? I read like a 1977 children's book that essentially had it where like there was a spirit tied to like a coin that was going to drown a child in an abandoned well. Like it lured him, and I'm all like, you know what? Back then, when it came to children's material, it didn't care if the child died or was facing some peril. It's like there was not really so much censorship. Like there kind of was, but at the same time, they weren't shy away from handling very big topics. And the NeverEnding Story, you could definitely, like when you mentioned like the depression, it's like that can still be heard of today. Of the nothing is your depression.
I just think that back in the day, all the depression stuff really wasn't talked about back then as it is now.
Yeah.
And I think too, Pet Sematary. Yeah. Exactly. Poor cat dies and comes back, and then they.
But even then, like, really, what child though? Like, I'm pretty sure Stephen King did not write Pet Sematary thinking, oh, all the 8-year-old kids that are gonna read my book. Like, no, like, because that was personal to him, because it was him having the fear of, what would I do if I lost any of my children? And he put that book away for a long time, thinking the world was not ready for a story like that, until his wife was all like, "Oh, you got that?" It's like, because I think he owed, one company a book, and he was like, "All right, we might as well just give them."
Yeah,
they weren't allowed to have feelings in the 80s and 90s. But at the same time, too, though, like to say that, it's like the media itself sat there and opened it up, because it was all like, you may not be able to like show this emotion maybe to your parents or to society, but the movies were able for you guys to definitely vent that, like it was able to speak to you, and you kind of felt right then and there, I'm not alone. And the thing that I definitely feel like, why most people kind of feel like the times are different, it's like, well, look at the media that's consumed. Like, we're kind of trying to go back to it. Like, there are some children's stuff that do tackle a lot of really serious subjects. They don't maybe layer it too much in metaphor as, like, NeverEnding Story did. Because NeverEnding Story never outright said, this is about a child fighting the depression. And everything. It's like, you could easily look at it as, there is this entity that's feeding off of a child's loss. And that a child feels loss, but the child is able to build allies and confront this entity that is trying to feed off and to make them succumb to a dark side. I mean, really, you look at Star Wars. Star Wars is the same thing. Luke lost his father and everything, but, he has a choice. Do you succumb to what happened to your father? Do you join him in the Emperor, or do you try to save your father for the last minute and prove that you're breaking... it's an early way of saying it, but it's a way of breaking generational curses. And it's like that. So you had that all, underneath metaphors and written very, very well. But when you look at it today, I kind of feel like the metaphors are kind of replaced by, let's just bluntly state this out because it feels like it needs to be talked about. And it's like, you can do that, but look at just what film did back then. Even back in the early times when like they dealt with the wartime politics and the struggles of what soldiers felt, coming back from the war. It's like with German Expressionism, that was the perfect way to sit there and feel like their world is completely shifted, and therefore they can't really look at the world the same because of what they had to go through. I feel like cinema as a whole, you have to dig deeper to try to find movies like that. I'm not saying it's all gone, but with today's popcorn flicks, it feels like everything has to be surface leveled, nothing truly too deep, because if it's too deep, then it feels like you alienate your audience because they're not that smart enough, and it's just because they're not trained anymore to really look at the subtext of everything compared to NeverEnding Story and you know.
But I mean, in the end, I mean, you get the happy ending.
Yeah.
It's like Artex is back, and when the kid realizes that he's the one that can like save everybody and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, like
then he goes after his bullies on Falcor.
Yeah. But at the same time, too, that was like that child learning through a story. Hey, this is how I confront, you know, my wolf. You know, that evil wolf and everything. And Creepshow kind of did a thing like that in the 80s, but it was a little bit more different because that like actually dealt with like abusive parents and everything, or an abusive father, and so like the kid just let the creeper, who after the dad like sat there and called the Creepshow magazine smut and like threw it in the garbage, and like I think right towards the end the father ends up like getting killed by the creeper and everything. So that's a much more darker thing. No crap, no time for that. We also started playing games with fatalities like Mortal Kombat. That's spelled with a K, you know that. Not to be that guy, but it's spelled with a K. But yeah, it's
Mortal
like
Kombat was really good. The first one at least.
Yeah.
I don't know if I saw the second one.
Annihilation was a travesty.
Had Van Damme in there.
They tried to get Van Damme in there and they couldn't.
Well, no, in the first one.
He wasn't in. That was.
Oh, he wasn't in that one?
No. They tried. No, I told you that they tried to get him in there, but he turned down Mortal Kombat to do Street Fighter.
That's what it is, Street Fighter.
And everything. But yeah, autocorrect. Yeah, sure, blame it on autocorrect. But yeah, it's like when you look at the topic, I guess like NeverEnding Story is really a good like example for whenever it comes to storytelling. And also too, I'm pretty sure for like a low budget what it made do with matte paintings. Like everything felt very fantastical and everything. You could believe the environment, you know.
Yeah.
Matte paintings, you know, were the backgrounds that they painted and everything. You know, the rock creature, the slug, the witch.
Good to see how it would have, to think about how they could have done it if they would have done it. Well, it probably wouldn't have been acceptable now, but how everything has evolved as far as like your CGI, all that stuff.
I think it would
try to figure out how that would work in today's.
I think that would suffer very much like the Hobbit trilogy suffered from the Lord of the Rings, because the Lord of the Rings, it did have CGI in it, but it was mostly practical.
Yeah.
But then when you look at the Hobbit stuff, really that should have been 2 movies. Even though most people are like that should have been 1 movie.
Yeah.
But like even to me, I was like, there was a lot that happens in the Hobbit. It should have been 2 movies.
Yeah.
It should have set up Smaug in the first one, and then you know the desolation of Smaug pretty much being the end in the Battle of the 5 Armies. You know, it should have been just that. I don't know. I feel like even with like remakes, like I don't know how much CGI they used for whenever they did the TV show for the Dark Crystal, which is another wonderful 80s gem. But yeah, like it the writing and just the special effects did not add up to me as well as say in the 80s and everything. But also there could be so many different things too that add to that. To me, I think we see film differently because most of it's all digital.
Yeah.
It's very rare that you find anyone that films it on film. Tarantino does most of his stuff, I believe, on film. Nolan does his stuff on film, so I think that's why a lot of people love Christopher Nolan. I sat there and saw the for Denis Villeneuve, the guy who does Dune, and the recent oh my god, what the hell is it called? 2049. Blade Runner and everything. I sat there and saw last week that how big the print was for the IMAX just for Doom 2 and everything. And I'm all like, you know what? Like, I really do hope that film does come back. Yeah. It's very costly, but like it makes you really think about, hey, like these are the exact shots we want and everything. And I kind of feel like with digital, we're a bit spoiled and everything. And
well,
I think
now they're making iPhones where you can actually just use your iPhone to make a damn movie.
Yeah, and there have been movies in theaters that have had that because what was it called? Hardcore Henry, which is all like a first person, because like you know, like whenever the iPhone stuff started like really become a big thing, they did those first person view things where it's just people running around fighting, but you get like a video game almost. Yeah, that was all an entire movie shot on an iPhone and everything. Love that movie. Yeah, like it was definitely like revolutionary for it's all like, yeah, we didn't have to get like a red camera, which again, that's expensive. Like you didn't have to sit there and get all this. All what you had to do is just use your iPhone, and you could do it. And most filmmakers tell you it's like it's a lot more easy and accessible to make movies today because we have that technology that they didn't do back then. But at the same time too, I felt like it's kind of had it that we could. I don't know. I think it doesn't make us wiser anymore on how to compose shots. Yeah. You know, because it's all like, oh, let's get all this coverage. It's like, no, just get the shots you need. Yeah. And everything. You know, there's nothing wrong with getting full coverage, but like, when you start relying on that completely and getting all these insert shots and insert shots and insert shots, it's like, it's a little too much. Yeah. It's just a little too much and everything. We definitely deterred a little bit and everything. We're probably going to go here for about another 12 minutes or so. I guess we can just say, what are your thoughts about its sequel? You know, like it being sequelized. Is like, did you really sit there and think that like this did not deserve to have like a sequel
really
that it should have been?
I don't remember the sequel too much. Mm-hmm. But I think, I think it could have done without it. Yeah. So, she sees Smokey. Good thing your head's blocking the way. She's looking at herself.
Oh. Well, thank God my head was... well, not so much. Thank you so much, Smokey, for doing that. Don't you try to chew on me, you little brat. And everything. Yeah, like, the 80s were just, you know, filled with sequels and everything.
And some of them really didn't need it.
Yeah. So... Like NeverEnding Story, and it's kind of sad because the lead of it is like no longer with us. Yeah. From that and everything, but I know, Smokey just completely screwed up the fluid of all this. You had a bath yesterday, don't you think you're bathed enough? And now she stops. Again, this is a very, very it's a very, very odd thing. I'm slowly trying to get used to recording this because this used to be a little bit more intimate podcast recording and everything, so I do feel sorry if we kind of have lost a little bit of ebb and flow and everything, but I think this was done pretty well. I think we could wrap this up pretty shortly.
So much Toy Story 5. I think the Toy Stories, though, I mean, you get to see Andy's growth. Yeah. You know, so I don't know if they should have done it. I mean, I haven't seen a trailer for the fifth one, but...
I kind of stopped tuning in after... Was it 3 when they got sent to the daycare? That was like the one with like the teddy bear that was the villain? Yeah. Because the second one was a prospector.
The fourth one was... Because Andy was already going to college?
Yeah, I think the fourth one, I think he was.
Because I know they were looking for Bo Peep. Because I remember Carnival or something. Because it was a little girl.
I don't remember too much about 4.
It was the little girl. Andy gave all his toys to the little girl. And they were doing a road trip or something. And she couldn't... Woody got left behind or something like that. And I remember, it was a resale shop. I think that's where Bo Peep was at.
Oh, okay.
And that's when the creepy doll comes into play.
The creepy doll? Okay.
I think it's that one.
I think 3 is the daycare one. Yeah, like the 3 was like the one where like they got donated to a daycare. Yeah. And so you see like all these toys that have like been ripped to shreds by kids. And it kind of like throws you back to the first Toy Story.
The fourth one brings in Forky.
Who?
Forky. He's the fork.
Oh my fucking God.
Because she makes the fork. The little girl makes a fork out of
Didn't they use like pipe
cleaners?
Yeah, pipe cleaners.
And a plastic fork. Yeah.
Oh my God! If they take Tim Allen and Tom Hanks' ideas and make a movie, it would be a final movie ever. I've never heard of the Tim Allen Tom Hanks idea.
They come back in the fifth one.
Oh, do they?
Tim Allen confirmed he'll return as the voice of Buzz alongside Tom Hanks. Bob, yeah. I don't know when it's supposed to.
That's probably going to be maybe a 2025 thing. I'm pretty sure.
Forky comes back, Bo Peep comes back, Jesse's back, Rex, Ham, Slinky Dog. But
I was about to sit there and ask though, Slinky Dog. I thought the voice actor of that passed away.
Well, yeah, because that was Ernest.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Blake Clark, I don't know who.
And then the guy who does Rex, is it Frank Somethingheimer or whatever? I think he's passed away.
Yeah, Jesse Wallace-Shawn as Rex, but John Ratzenberger.
John Ratzenberg is Ham.
Yeah, he comes back.
I thought we lost Ratzenberg and everything. Like I know like there's quite a bit of the cast there that like I feel like we've lost over the years.
But I think if they do this one, I think they need to stop after that because
I mean, yeah, you can only go like so far with these. Like the next thing you know, the toys are going to get left behind in space. And to me, I feel like the moment in a franchise you go to space.
Well, I mean,
like
Buzz Lightyear has his own little spinoff where he's in space.
Yeah, but like Buzz has always had. Buzz is oddly enough, he's like the weird one that he's had the most spinoffs because he had the TV show in the 90s where it was the Buzz Lightyear of Star Command or Star Academy.
Yeah.
And then they did the recent one with Chris Evans where I think it was like a darker tone, and I think he was like a member now of the LGBTQ community. I remember Tim Allen like was a little up in arms of like, why did you have to like you couldn't just make like a new like Star Command person and then did that and then just made it within the world of it. The Lightyear was the story of what the toy was made from. Okay, that would be cool to see a full circle. It would be like I feel like Toy Story really, believe it or not, it's one of those sequelized things where they don't do it like most sequels where it's like every year
a standalone if it had to be.
Yeah, but like I feel like with Toy Story though, like they definitely it's one of the few franchises they take their time doing. Like they're not in a hurry to do. Next would be a documentary of the toys going on tour and everything they're going through.
That's gonna be Toy Story 6 right there.
It's just like they're shot like the episode of The Office. It's a mockumentary and everything. Like freaking it could be Buzz like talking to Woody and everything like about like and me and Bo Peep were doing this thing and Woody's all like hits him like shut up, they're watching. It's like and they just that would definitely be fun. That would definitely
I'll probably
be fun.
watch the 5th one, but I mean they probably could have stopped after the 4th one.
Yeah, but
it is nice though to kind of see when Andy gets them and you watch how Andy grows and then he goes off to college and all the other stuff. So.
And the toys that kind of feel like, oh, well, we're being left behind because we're no longer Andy's, but they kind of learn like our reason of existence though is to just bring.
And I did think it was funny how Michael Keaton is Ken. He's doing a fashion show for Barbie. That's with the daycare one.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I did not know that.
He was like, let's go to because Barbie was. They were locked up at night, and Barbie talked to Ken to get out, and he took her to the dream house, and he did a fashion show.
I did not know Michael Keaton did Ken.
Yeah, I think it was Michael Keaton.
I did not know that. I guess you know what? I guess we can open up chat. Are there any questions you want to ask Wendy about some of the films? We discussed Emperor's New Groove, The Wedding Singer, NeverEnding Story, or if there's a movie that you want to sit there and ask Sis about, if she's seen or what's her opinion on. Hi, Ghost Girl. Hi, Kevin. How are you doing? Are there any questions that you guys actually want to sit there and ask Sis? Even the moderators are open to ask us questions.
Yeah, Michael Keaton was in
Michael Keaton play a Ken doll. Holy shit.
Yeah, because
I wonder then, because I haven't seen Barbie, I wonder if there's a little cameo in the background of Michael Keaton plays a Ken doll. No?
Because Keanu Reeves was Duke Kaboom.
Who?
Keanu Reeves played Duke Kaboom. He was it was on the little dirt bike.
Annie Potts, is that?
That's Bo Peep. Mm-hmm.
Is Annie Potts the one?
She was in Ghostbusters.
I was gonna ask. It's like she looks so familiar and everything. Fraggle Rock. I heard he was coming back. I'm just waking up thanks to the shouty, of course.
And then because in that one, and for Jordan Peele and Michael Keegan, they play the bunny and the duck and stuff like that. And in the little antique place, they're like the best part out of the whole damn thing.
Were they like kind of pushing the envelope of what they could actually get away with in a kids film?
No,
I feel like that would be them. Like they would.
No, they were in the carnival part of it because someone wanted. I don't remember, but they were. I laughed quite a bit with them too.
Any questions to ask us, folks, before we wrap up the podcast for today? Go ahead and throw them in now. They didn't do that, but they did tie in some of their comedy routine. Oh, well, that's even nice. Like from the Key and Peele. Yeah. I love Key and Peele's stuff, especially when they did the where Michael was saying everyone's name a little bit different. I know Warbler's like over here just shitting on the host and everything. They made it kid friendly. Well, I figured so because it's Disney and they can only get away so far.
Well, there's one where it was with the grandma and they push it just a little bit with the way they said something to her. Everything, but yes.
But also, too, I feel like Pixar is like that one company. Yes, it's owned by Disney now, but Pixar was always the one to kind of push the comedy a little. With Up, like it was still family friendly.
How can you start the beginning of Up with like a death scene and?
Yeah, but that was such a beautiful love story told without no dialogue.
Just like, why?
Why
would you?
From childhood friends to like the very end for the wife and everything. That's that. Again, like. As much as
she couldn't have a kid.
Yeah, she couldn't have one.
And then she passes away, and I'm just like, why? They put you in your feels within the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, it's kind of like I think Pixar is like one of those few that you can't really sit there and say, I hope you run out of coffee. Oh my god, Jessica's only sitting there saying that because of earlier. I feel that. I'll remember that next time if I ever wanted to interview you for community curations. I'll leave you at the bottom of the list.
I think Jessica would probably be better because it seems like she sees a lot more movies. Well, most of the older stuff.
Yeah, a lot of the classic stuff. That's kind of like the thing. So like as much as the one thing I do like notice with like some of the mods is like Mo is like my 90s guy and everything. Mo, you know, if there's anything about 90s cinema. And maybe some of the early 2000s, he's definitely my guy. Mm-hmm. You're most definitely the 80s. Jessica is my Vincent Price and my classic films, kind of like Persona. I'm trying to think what else. Really, I need to learn more about Heckenborg to figure out what type of personality from me. Because I always sit there and figure with most streamers when they have mods, or like they're an extension of their own actual personality. I'm trying to think of just like who else? Like who else do we have? Scorpy. Scorpy is like my stoner comedy persona. I do enjoy a good stoner comedy. Cheech and Chong or Pineapple Express. I definitely, despite James Franco, I truly love sci-fi in all forms. Are there any favorite sci-fi films that you enjoy?
Pumpkin.
Oh my god. Yes, we're recording.
I'm not sure. There probably is. I just can't think of anything off the top of my head. What sci-fi stuff came out?
I mean, well, there's Alien.
But I never saw Alien.
There's Critters.
No, I never saw Critters.
I wouldn't really sit there and say that Gremlins is sci-fi because that's more fantasy. That's a horror fantasy comedy.
I saw bits and pieces of Gremlins. E.T. I fell asleep within the first 5 minutes, so
that's the same thing to me. I can't get through E.T.
I don't know. I mean, well, it's a Firestarter, but I don't think that's sci-fi though.
In a sense, it kind of is because essentially
Star Wars. Okay, yes, Star Wars. Yeah. I've seen Star Wars.
Yeah,
yes.
Star Wars, Star Trek, Alien, Firefly.
Never seen the other.
You could essentially sit there and say Firestarter is a form of science fiction where it's not space, but essentially the little girl's powers were awakened by genetic tampering. So science fiction, you know.
Never saw Abyss.
That's a good one.
Never saw Cocoon.
the Abyss is a really good one because I wouldn't say it's aliens or underwater, and there's like this.
I mean, I'm aware of them, but I've never.
I think that's a James Cameron film, if I remember correctly. Sci-fi doesn't mean space. Yeah.
I don't know.
You know, what's your favorite horror film? We'll have that as our final question. What's your favorite horror film?
I mean, I guess Halloween. So, like, I mean, I do like the originals, but I think when Zombie did it...
Humanized Michael.
Yeah. Seeing how, I guess, what Michael went through to become who he was. Yeah. I think Zombie nailed it. Yeah. So, Get Out was really good. I saw that one.
Yeah.
Us is really good. I don't think Us is sci-fi, though.
Us is sci-fi. Yeah.
Because it...
because that one deals with cloning.
Yeah.
And everything.
That one was really, really good.
I need to sit there. I need to see what was the recent one that he did, the Jordan Peele? It was with the aliens and everything, and
Oh, I saw that one.
Did you see that one?
I did.
I want to see that one.
Because it had Kiki. Nope. Was it Nope? No.
Is she supposed to be the one that plays the main character's sister?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I think it was Nope.
Oh, Nope. Yeah. Nope was the name of the movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah. Because it's got what's his name? Daniel. Whatever.
Daniel Kaluuya and everything.
Yeah, because him and her were trying to save the ranch, I think, because their dad passed away or something like that. And then I think it's the aliens that come.
Yeah, and everything. And Stephen Yeun, I think, is trying to sit there and make I think he's trying to like make money off. He looks like he's trying to be like someone that's like, oh, we're like wrangling in some I don't know if he's like maybe like a mayor or something, and so I guess he's trying to wrangle in some type of tourism or some type of business. That's all that I kind of got from the trailer, but it's definitely an interesting piece. But folks, we are gonna wrap this up and everything. I definitely need to like next time have like some rapid fire questions going, but also too I do like that maybe doing this live with whoever I'm interviewing, I can also sit there and have the community also ask questions so that they can actually get to sit there and know their community members.
Jessica. She said hello. Ashley says hi, Jessica.
Been great chilling with you. Thank you, Stevie Streams TV. We were chilling with you. You sure you want people to look at your messy bun? Hard lurker, bro.
You're not even
the camera's like, yeah, there we go.